Hi there, and a warm welcome to Road to Success with the Lady Maya, our podcast. Today, I have a woman high on ambition. Meg Juma is a Kenyan, a young lady who came to Dubai with just $50, that's 50 dirhams, in her pocket. But today, she's been able to build herself, and not only is she building herself, but she's now building women across the world with her programs on mindset and career coaching. This conversation is one you want to watch, as it shares a lot about how she built herself, how she said no to the past and embraced the future, and of course, how she's been able to scale up from just a Dubai-based business to now a business that is spreading across the world. With me today is a female career coach, based here in Dubai, but extending her value across the world. Welcome with me, Meg Juma.
Thank you so much.
It is so good to have you seated here, Meg. So let's dig in, shall we?
Let's go.
A couple of days ago, you posted, and I think you've been doing that in the past couple of weeks, sharing your journey.
Absolutely.
But there was one particular reel I saw, which sort of documented your beginning phase, your Dubai story, how you started. And that was surprising to me because I don't know how you started. I didn't know that you also have that typical Dubai story. So share with us in a few words, just that beginning story.
Oh my goodness. You know, it sounds like it's very far, but very close to me when I remember it. And it's very funny how it has passed by, but it still lives with me. Just like most people, I moved here with nothing.
My God.
Nothing. Actually, if I do convert what I moved in with, was close to 50 dirhams. That's all I had.
50?
Yeah.
What gave like 50 dirhams?
50. And actually, it was for my taxi. And you know what? My best friend told me at the airport when she picked me, girl, we can't even afford a taxi with that. You have to take the bus from the airport to where we were staying when I got here. So you can imagine.
So what was the attraction to Dubai?
Because she was here. And I just had this thing that I knew I wanted to work elsewhere other than my country. And love at first sight. I saw the lights when I got here. And
Listen,
I was just like,
you saw Burj Khalifa.
Absolutely. I'm not going back. Whatever it takes, I'm staying here.
But what gave you the confidence to move to a whole new country with that little?
It's the drive. You know, it just gets to a point in your life that you know what? You either stay here and things stay the same or take the chance on yourself and explore something different.
Amazing.
That's what happened to me. I am a mom of a very young, she was 4 years then. And we could stay there or I could move and actually create something for us.
Amazing. And so you came here, $50 in your pocket, which didn't even afford you the luxury of a taxi.
Nothing at all.
What was the next morning like?
Actually, one of the things I also had in mind is when I moved here, I was very ambitious. I don't know why I thought like Meg Juma has arrived. I'm going to get a job ASAP. That was what I thought. Because what we have been taught is the fact that if you go to school, work hard, and you have your papers, you will always get a job anywhere. So that was my perception. It's going to take like a week or two, and then I'll be on my feet. Surprisingly, it took 9 good months.
And how did you keep busy those 9 months?
How did I stay sane? That's the question. How did I stay sane for 9 months? I almost lost it. You know, if it's not for my friends and family, I don't even know what I would have done because they kept me going. They kept me, whatever it is I needed, they would support me at the moment, That's how we survive.
Speak to someone who's watching right now who is presently in that space, that phase. They're just in limbo. Because I believe it does feel like limbo now.
Absolutely. You can't even see ahead. You can't even see beyond one day because you don't know what will happen. It's the visa, it's the rent, it's the hot sun, it's the summer, it's everything all in one. And if I was to speak to that person, it's just keep your faith. What I now know is something will always come up, but not at the beginning. For those who stay the fight until the last minute, something will always come up. But some people will say it and be like, oh, let me go back. But if you stay there, something will always come up. I didn't even know all this would be possible for me. But if I left, none of this would have been possible. Something will always come up.
So how did you find your first job? How did you get your first job?
You won't believe it. I got a first job from referral, and this was a day I had decided to invest in myself. So I normally do I'll call it like free dropping of CVs. Anything that is along the metro line, because I can't afford a taxi to go elsewhere. So this day I was just pissed off, and I said, you know what, I'm going to pay a taxi and go to Palm Jumeirah, areas I've never gone to, and I'm going to really drop on those areas. So I had to get someone to co-share the taxi with me, of course, because I couldn't afford it by myself. And that's what I did on that day. So luckily, I did find some helpful people when we were dropping our CVs. And they told us, we're not taking anyone. It was a Kenyan guy. But the other building, there's something there. Go and try there. That's how I went there. And actually, I do have this thing. I sweat a lot. I did not even see the person I handed the CV to because the sweat was all over my face, But I gave the CV off and I was just like, you know what, I've done my best. And when I did that, I think it was like a week later, they wrote to me and voila, and then everything started working out from there.
So talk to me about that first job. What were you doing there? What did you learn from there? And what was the vision even at that present time?
For that first job for me, it was very essential because one, I had a plan. Moving all the way for me, I had a vision of what I wanted to create for my life. And when I was coming here, for me, all I knew is I needed resources in terms of income to be able to build that. So from my very first income with that first job, first of all, it was a concierge job. So I wasn't being paying a lot. It was just like minimal paycheck or something of the sort. But I remember investing in myself and investing in my first course with my first salary. And I bought a course that was $1,000 back then. And I had to pay it in installment, which is $100 every single month for 12 months. But I knew that if I don't do this, I'll keep receiving this paycheck as it is for the rest of I don't know how long. But I can take a bit of it. I was coming from being broke, so it didn't matter. Then I wasn't used to having it. So I was just like, you know what? I can still sacrifice and make a bit of investment. And that investment that I did was the foundation of my business that I later started.
So tell me about that course. What course was that? What was the interest in that course?
Oh my God, you won't believe it. It was totally opposite. I thought I wanted to be a fashion stylist. So this course was apparently how to set up a fashion styling business. But I got certified in that area and then I never had any client in fashion styling. So but you know what? I was just like, okay, fine. I did my best. I set up the website, did everything, never got even a single client. However, it taught me how to package service. It taught me how to sell service. And what I remembered is I am a qualified social worker, I have a BA in social work, psychology is my field of expertise. So I was like, wait, if the styling doesn't work, then I'll just fall back to what I know how to do. Especially being that most of the questions I was being asked around me were around that. So I was like, okay, let me go back to what I'm already trained in.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you took a bit of the history and a bit of present day and found your sweet spot, as
Absolutely.
I like to say. So take me back to the moment where everything changed for you.
That's a very good question because I don't even remember which one it was. But when was it? I don't know if it's when I got my first big check. I don't know if it's when my program started getting full. I don't really know, but I know I met someone someday. And I was still working. I was still in between. I was still working my old job, but not yet fully in the business. And this person kind of was a wake-up call to me because I felt like what he asked me that day was quite unnecessary, but was the beginning of a new life for me. He just asked me, like a polite question. You look like a girl who has dreams and all this. What are you doing working here? And I looked at myself that day and I was like, what am I doing working here? What happens to the dreams I knew and everything? So that guy, for me, was a person who was like, wait, you have so much potential. Stop sleeping here. And I said from that day, I'm going to do things differently. So from then is when I started reading, started running. As you know, I'm a runner. So I started running. I started saying, I'm going to do all the things rich people do for me to actually get there. Because what I'm doing right now just doesn't work for me.
Wow.
And 3 months in, I got a new job from that encounter. 9 months in, launched the business, then kept just escalating from there. Wow. I've never, ever gone back because now my business is 4 years and it's global. I see having clients all over the world. I'm like, this is what I would have slept on If I never started, it's amazing.
That's quite interesting when you talk about you sort of acting out your future, even if you had present day challenges and realities to contend with. You talk about you were doing what the rich people do.
Absolutely.
And what would you, and I know that for you, it's not because you just want to look rich or appear rich. There's actually a mindset that you speak to.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what you were talking about, the mindset of wealth and the mindset of success. In teaching people about elevating themselves in their career, what have you found as the most common mind blocks that keep people away from what they truly want and from achieving their highest potential?
You won't believe it, but this is something that I face every day, especially with my clients. It's the mindset that this is not for people like me. What do you mean? Who is it for if it's not for people like you? People deliberately don't take opportunities of themselves because it's not for people like them. You know, oh, I can't go there. People like me don't hang out there. We can't buy Chanel. We can't buy houses. We can't do what because people like me don't do it. So you're already cutting yourself, like shooting yourself in the foot before you even get started. You don't even know what you're capable of. But the fact that you think it's not for people like you, then it's never for people like you. That is what I see.
But there's got to be a route to these things.
Absolutely.
What have you found in getting into their stories, into their backgrounds? Because mindset doesn't just happen overnight. A lot of it I know comes from like childhood
Absolutely.
experiences, trauma. What are some of the experiences you have heard that sort of led people to that space where they feel like this is not for me?
This is quite profound because I may want to blame childhood and all that, but it's not even that. You won't believe it, it's the gender roles, the way we are set up. Most women see themselves as support role. So we don't want to work so hard. We don't want to build too much. We don't want to go an extra mile because we can expect Prince Charming will come with the house, will come with this, will come with this. So we find ourselves just doing okay, enough, you know. Psychologically, we have been raised with this. Women who are so aggressive are like, well, who do you think you are? You know, things like that. And we just tend to fall on being okay, not
Too much.
just there.
You're
Enough.
rich, but not too rich. You know,
Exactly.
just don't have a car.
Don't go over him, you know, like take care of his ego kind of thing, you know. It's fine if you walk, you know, he'll buy you the car. While you have potential capabilities to actually really build an amazing business for yourself. This was something that I did experience myself too. You know, it just occurred to me that I had been waiting for someone, I don't know who this someone is, to start a life, to start the savings, you know, to start doing all these things, to start investing. It's just the gender roles, the ways they're structured. We take it in our mind, whatever we do is support, but not the main role in our lives.
That's great. So tell me, when was the big moment for your work, that your business, well, work business is that intersection between career and entrepreneurship, right? But what changed the game for you? What brought you your biggest check? What brought you the most numbers? What are some of the strategies that you use to scale? Because a lot of people have businesses, right?
Yeah.
But it is moving away from that level of just enough or barely even there to scaling to a higher level, getting more clients, charging more,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
10x your price.
Absolutely.
How did that happen for you?
If I was to look into strategies, one of the things that I will say really helped it for me was knowing that my product is not going to be for everyone. That really helped me a lot because now I decided to focus on whoever my product was for, because I serve a certain type of woman, you know. It's not everyday kind of woman. She's just a certain kind of woman. And when I decided to niche in on that, it really worked very well for me. And another thing that really blew it for me, and that's when I started seeing the checks, I was just done. I told myself, like, look, I know I can build this thing. So I'm making a decision to give it my all. This was 2 years in business. And if it doesn't work out, I'm going to walk away from it. And it's as if the universe was waiting for me to decide to, because when I started deciding, I started putting myself out there. I'm quite a loner, you know, but I was putting myself out there. I was doing every single thing. And actually, I started really networking a lot. and not networking with everyone, but just building genuine friendships on people that I know I love, I support. I will die for them. I will go to her event and something like that. That really started working for me because now I was adding so much value. And one of the things that also is being clear with your solution. Most people have businesses, but we don't know exactly what we're delivering. What are your deliverables? What solution are you bringing to the table? Because we tend to lean more on our skills. Oh, I'm a career coach. Instead of something like, oh, I help women monetize their skill sets. That is quite different. So being very clear on what you're bringing to the table really helped me a lot.
You know, there's something I found in my journey with teaching people personal branding and helping them to elevate. And this particular challenge I find with the career people, career women especially, where they find themselves in that cocoon of career. You know, for me, why do I need to make so much noise about myself? Why do I need to invest in personal branding or PR? I just work here. I have my tasks and there's a line of authority and I know that my next promotion is coming at XYZ and, you know, I just get a paycheck. Absolutely. And I find that even in my experience, the mindset and the mentality and sort of like even aggressiveness that comes with being a career person is very different from being an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur mind is very different. It is, if you're doing a career, you know, you just have to wake up, get ready, get in the car, get to work and do what you usually do.
Absolutely.
With an entrepreneur, every day can be very different from the last day. It is, I've got a pitch deck. You've got to sell this business. So every day can be very different and it demands a new level of energy. Absolutely. So with the career people, I find that mind block is they don't see why they should do personal branding. They don't see why they should engage in personal branding because they feel, you know, my salary is fixed.
Yeah.
But what do you say to women who have, you know, similar mind blocks?
Actually, this is quite challenge for many people. However, credibility is all you have. You know, it's not about just building a personal brand, which I believe you know about that. It's credibility. The fact that you just mentioned this, most women, that is limited. You're never going to be a multimillionaire that way. But credibility is something that you can start establishing and you won't even have to rely on your CV anymore if you know how to establish credibility. And it's funny because the same type of blog makes people apply with CVs. That is long dead. You can send your CV to a stranger. They don't know you. But Mayowa can put in a good word for you to someone, and that is a next opportunity. So what I always say, especially if you're in corporate, establish credibility. It's the only thing you can take because your skills is all you have.
Absolutely.
Your job, they could say tomorrow, oh, we don't need you. So where do you start again? Looking for the CV? But if you build a personal brand around your skills, around your career, and funny thing, they confuse this with having a personal brand online. It's not just about online. It's also about offline. How do I know you? Sure. Are you part of the associations? Are you part of the circles, you know, membership? Who knows you? Who can say, oh my gosh, she's amazing at what she does? You know.
So it's important to build those relationships that speak for you in the room, even if you are not there.
Absolutely.
I have another question for you. Confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence is a big thing, especially when it comes to trying to get people to pay you for value.
Absolutely.
You know, that confidence, I mean, you mentioned a bit of it, which is people thinking this is not for people like me. And if you dig down, they probably would not even be confident enough to walk in certain rooms because what would I do there?
Yeah.
Do I look okay? What would I say? Do they like me?
Yeah,
Have you ever struggled with confidence in building this business, and how did you overcome?
This is quite interesting because it was one of the main barriers when I was starting out. I remember my first public speaking was just like, oh my God, just take me out. Why did I sign up for this? Actually, it's a friend of mine who signed me up, and I had no option but to show up because otherwise the money would be gone, you know, because I was never really going to do it. So confidence, what I've really learned about it is engage. Do it, let your legs shake, let them do whatever they're going to do there. But the only way you can do it is engage and face it. And also confidence, what I can also say is preparation. You know, take time to refine your craft. Really take time to know what it is that you're bringing to the table. I may sit across you, but every single day, 20 minutes in the morning, I read something to do with career development, whether the sun is rising or not. Because if I'm an expert in this role, then I'm going to be a leading expert in this role. And I invest in it. So the more you invest, the more you know your craft, the more you are confident to even present it. And just see, observe, and learn. Be comfortable with just taking small steps towards it. It's just that simple. It cannot be given to you. You kind of have to earn it only by engaging.
True.
Yeah.
Speaking of books, which ones have really impacted you and sort of shift your mindset, changed your life even?
Well, I have a book list of...
I see those books in every video.
Exactly. So you're asking me to pick one or two?
It's got to be like one or two that you feel like, listen, I know the book like the back of my hand because it really impacted me.
Oh my God, I think I have several.
I'm sure the first two you mentioned would be the two.
The first two that I mentioned. Okay, let me find which one was my favorite. First of all, in terms of personal development, I am a big believer on The Secret Collection. I still listen to them every time when I go to bed. And this is because also affluence, money, it's energy work. It's where people miss it, We work so hard and forget the energy work. So for me, that is always a book that just helps me maintain the frequency. So that is it in terms of, energy-wise. And then if I was to categorize in terms of, I have my favorite. I have it. I have it. So good that they can't ignore you. I love that book. I read it and I was just like, wow, I'm going to be so good that they can't. It really speaks about mastering your skill sets. And I loved it. And I still do love that book up to now. It's something that I read yearly. So good that they can't ignore you. That's in terms of skills development and career. In terms of business, I think the E-Myth for me. E-Myth for me was the book that made me realize that, this game is not being played the way it is. You kind of have not to work in your business, but you kind of have to work in and on. Unless you
have to exit the rat race.
Exactly.
If not, you'll be stuck at the very beginning again, being this concierge worker who's just in that.
Absolutely.
That's
but
exciting.
I have one that I'm reading right now, rereading. It's called Profit Fast. I like the book a lot.
I think I like the sound of that. Profit Fast.
I think you should read it because it's simply an accounting system for entrepreneurs that really gets to explain to entrepreneurs that profits are meant to be taken before any other thing in business. And I love it. It's just a huge mindset shift.
Good. So tell me about career coaching.
Yeah.
What is the meat of it? Just recently I posted on my stories about, and I think I mentioned it on another episode, discipline, motivation. Sometimes I feel like some of the resources that we find out there, they're just heavy on motivation, right?
That's true. That's true. Oh, you spoke.
But discipline is like the bread and butter of success. You don't succeed on a flash, on a whim. There's a lot of discipline that goes into it. So tell me.
On career coaching. Yes. Oh my God. First of all, career coaching is very simple. I'm focused more on career development. And most people think, when people come to me, it's CV, we're going to work on my CV, you're going to give me a new job. And I'm like, no, darling, I'm going to work on you. You are the person that I'm working on.
You are the job.
Yeah, what do you mean? I just wanted a new job. Like, no. What do you want from this job? What are you contributing in this job? Because I'm really focused in blending in fulfillment and financial freedom. And these are things you cannot create on a passive mode. You have to be there. Your purpose really has to shine through your work. That's the only way you can create something unique and convert your skill sets into solutions that can actually help you advance your career. So you'll find that career development is simply advancing your career, but I'm specializing in the Skillset Monetization, whereby I'm taking your skills, converting them to solutions, and using them to help you advance your career, to help you establish credibility, to help you also get to know what your career trajectory is. You find that most of us have careers, but we don't have careers. Like, we can have jobs, but we call them careers in a way that I don't even know where this leads to. I'm expecting someone to come from somewhere and tell me, you know what, Mayowa, tomorrow you're going to be in that role. We promoted you. You know what, Mayowa, tomorrow you're going to do this. Lack of clarity in terms of career trajectory. So I basically work with people whenever they're coming to me is that confusion. What should I do with my career? What next? I'm stuck. I have been in this role for a very long time. So that is where the career coaching comes in. And I get to work with them on the processes to get there.
Do you feel like career people oftentimes feel helpless with their, let's use the word destiny, right? As a career person, you've got a destiny. Maybe you have ambitions of, I'm going to be CEO, VP, whatever you aspire to be. But it's almost as if once you enter into that job market, that career space, especially job now, because if you've got a hang of your career, maybe this is not talking about you, but on the job seeker part, regardless of the level they find themselves, it's almost like their destinies are in the hands of the company and their supervisors and the HR. Almost like you can't control your life. On the entrepreneur side, one of the exciting bits and the most attractive part of entrepreneurship is you get to be your own boss. And what does that mean? You get to control your time. You control your resources, you control your partnerships, you choose. It is that the power of choice. And we let's use the word career, right? Let's just use it.
Yeah.
With career people, it's almost like the power of choice is taken away.
Absolutely.
How do you navigate that bit with your clients?
This is quite interesting because you're giving me an opportunity to bust a myth that people tend to think that career is a job. As an entrepreneur, you will also not be a very successful entrepreneur if you don't have a career. Like, a career is different from a job or being an entrepreneur. Your career is what you do with your skills, your educational background and all that. And this is quite something that people mix up, and that's when we make career mistakes. So when I say a career, I mean both the entrepreneurs and also the corporate professionals. And the beauty about it is we tend to think that these two worlds are separate. As you're saying, if you have a job, you don't have a choice. That's correct. But if you use a system like what I use, Skillset Monetization, you're actually getting away from the traditional system and you are becoming the asset. So when you are the asset, when you're the expert, when you have the solutions, you call the shots, whether you're working in a job in a 9-to-5, whether you're leveraging that with clients. So that's the difference when it comes to E. But unless you do a process like what I take my clients through, Skillset Monetization, it will be very hard. You will always have no choice. You'll always have a job and you'll always be a number. People can move you around, But the moment you bring in, it's a sweet spot actually between entrepreneurship and the 9-to-5 traditional. So that's Skillset Monetization.
Great. Let's talk about how you grew. I know that for a while you were, building in Dubai.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing you go to Kenya.
Absolutely.
And then I started seeing you go to, I think, Europe as well.
Yeah, and I did South Africa.
Tell me about that.
It just got to a point that I realized that, I wasn't doing this for the girl who meets me next to me. I was doing this for women across the globe, And I said, if they can't come to me, I'm going to be going to them. And I've always loved to travel, but meaningful, So I started taking the workshops everywhere. And this was also because I was saying I'm having clients in other areas and I would love to meet them. So where I had a client, I would take the workshop and then they will bring in more people. And then I'll get to meet their friends and all that, so we'll get to have a workshop, which allowed me to expand my business and expand my network in different areas. So
it's good to hear how you make that happen, because my next question was going to be, how do you just up and leave to another country?
Now you know the secret.
and make a workshop happen. Yeah. So still on the workshops, how do you manage billion people? And, I have a personal interest in this question because I'm also looking to start that bit, the expansion outside of Dubai next year by God's grace. So I also have personal interest in how you make it happen. Do you go there and do freemium? Do you go there and say, listen, there is value in this? you ought to put a skin in the game as well.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you do that when you haven't built a relationship?
It's impossible without a relationship.
No one's going to give you any money if you haven't built a connection.
Where are you going without a relationship? I think, because let's say we have 5 months for you to actualize this goal. So what that looks like, build some relationships in the next 5 months. And also one of the things you will say, it's never that hard in terms of, how you do it, because you might leverage some people that you already know in those areas. And also not relationship just with the clientele, but with the hotels, with the facilities, with the service providers in that country as well, because you won't believe it. I'm the expert. I just show up for the conference and give the theme in advance on what I want it to be like. And I have a team that helps me locally everywhere. So basics, you need the planner, you need the hotels, and then you need to build a clientele who will refer you to their friends, in the area.
Amazing. That's quite exciting. So for you, Dubai is like a hub to the world now. Mm-hmm. For some people, Dubai is like, we're made, and then Dubai is it. But I find that for a lot of other people, they begin to see Dubai as the hub to the world, because as people come to Dubai, as Dubai attracts more people, essentially Dubai is bringing business your way.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Do you think that you'd have been able to achieve this at this stage and at this speed, so to speak, if you were still back home?
Absolutely no. Forget about it. I don't even think this would have been possible. First of all, I'm a big believer of not relying on one economy. And that's another thing maybe where my mindset when it comes to building my brand globally and having the workshops globally. You can't rely on one economy, even if it's Dubai. So I always say 3 is a minimum when it comes to economy, because you never know what might happen with which economy. So if, for example, something might happen in Dubai, and then what happens to you if you had already a business that you had established? So you get to set bases in different economies, and that gives you a very strong business when it comes to how to build it. So if I was in Kenya, this would not have been possible at all, not at all.
And with the passports, how do you manage that? I mean, we're here talking about building successful brands, building successful businesses, and we're talking about global expansion. Listen, there's a skin color we carry.
I hear you.
And we know the struggle when it comes to passports. How do you navigate that?
I learned the hard way after several rejections of not getting a Schengen visa and all that. What I did learn actually is proper financial records, assets. This is very funny. We don't think about our career as a resource hub, but there's no way you're going to expand if you don't build assets as well. Bring in your properties, things that give you security. Put your records to be clear, like have a minimum that you never go below, on a certain level, something of the sort. Because my first times, I was being rejected because of finances. I didn't have proper grounding, in terms of how that is. But the moment you have a proper financial record, you're building assets around your work and your career, it's easy now. It becomes easier and easier and easier. And hopefully, we can marry on the other side of the world.
That part.
Yeah, that part of the world to make it easy.
Just make it easy. It's like, come in.
Done, spouse visa, done, something like that. But all I'll say, if you're someone like me, really start with building a good financial system. It really helps you. It helps.
One question that's nagging at the back of my mind is, again, just talking about women.
Yeah.
Do you feel like a lot of times women, when they picture success, they picture it at an older age? And I'll tell you, because this is a struggle. This is maybe not a struggle, but I discovered that this was a mindset that I had, that I pictured that highest, big, super successful, super rich self as an older version of myself. I mean, now when I see these techies and tech bros and tech sisters just cash, I'm like, wow, now I feel old. But where did that come from? And this is something I haven't even sat down to really digest and really dig in myself. Perhaps because when we consider how we grew up, people we saw in the papers, and they were like older women. And this was the impression we got growing up. And so as we aged, and your 30 is like yesterday, right? It's like, I feel like 30 was yesterday. When now it's like 35 is knocking at the door. And I realized, oh, you are getting old and you should have started earlier. But
absolutely.
have you experienced that?
I'm really laughing as you see, because this is something, and actually, I'm going to recommend a book for this. This is something that most people really, as women especially, we think we have to pass by point B to get to point C. And that's why if we didn't check the boxes, we don't see how we could be a point C without being a point B. But anyone who has created success knows point B is not essential. What matters is the destination. But the mindset that, it's the traditional system, you have to earn your way in. You have to pass by point B, check in, you were there and all that. It doesn't work like that. You can actually get to point C without getting to point B. And that really keeps a lot of people away from it. I did struggle with the other way. I'm too young to be successful. You won't believe it, because I started my business at 24. So I was too young. I was even questioning myself, how do I know all these things? And up to now, I think most of my clients are 10 years older than me. Don't count my age, please.
I already did. Well, hey, they say age is nothing but a number, so. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Do you ever have a challenge with some clients who feel like she's this age? And you find that listen, let's admit something. With women, there can be drama, right?
All the time.
Every woman is different. Some women come with drama, some women don't. And you'd find some people trying to size you up.
Absolutely.
How do you manage that?
Absolutely. One of the things I decided when I started my business for the first 2 years, no one will give me an opportunity because I was a kid. And then all the people who were speaking on the stage were saying the same thing I've been saying on the scene. So it was really frustrating for me. And what really happened for me is that I said, you know what, I'm just going to create success for myself and have results for what I know I can be able to bring in. But once my results started coming out, it's not even a matter of age anymore. And it's just like, okay, I'm going to work with her because I see the results of what she delivers with her clients. So it becomes easier. But my first 2 years without results, when I just knew I could do it without the proof, no one was giving me opportunities. No one at all. Yeah.
So what lessons have you learned about? I mean, you already shared a couple of nuggets, but in your Dubai journey, in all the years you spent on earth, in the years you invested in your business, in transitioning from this person who came with $50 in her pocket and then now is commanding thousands.
Absolutely.
Right? What are some of the biggest success lessons you've learned?
Some of my biggest success lessons that I've learned is, one, you really have to put in the work. And putting in the work doesn't mean on the work, or in yourself as well. You're the greatest asset in your career. Invest in yourself. Invest in understanding things better. It's okay to have a professional day that requires you to invest in yourself. It's not about just doing and doing and doing. Sit still and really invest in yourself. Because most of the resources you'll find that will help you be successful are things that haven't yet happened. So you kind of have to sit in and have the courage to actually launch things that haven't yet happened yet. Like if I told people, because this was an idea I had like 7 years ago, that I'm going to build a personal and professional development company, they were like, what are you speaking about? A global one? What are you speaking about? But it's sitting still with a vision that allows you to actually execute it. Another thing that I've also learned is you don't need to wait. Just do it. You'll get in and, you'll see, do I like it or not? Because people tend to think they're permanent decisions. If you don't like it tomorrow, you can take another pivot. But you can't decide and build the whole map when you're seated. You just have to engage and say, do I like it? No. Or maybe not. It's like playing football and you're on the bench. You're really on the bench. You don't know anything about what's happening on the field. Get in the field, play, engage. And if you don't like the play, switch to something else. That's what I'll say. And another thing also, which has been, if you ask me my secret recipe, is having a long-term vision. You have no idea how I work on one goal for years. But people want to work on this and leave that and leave that. Compound effect works very well on one goal. Pick a goal that you really care about, that if it happened, it will really change the trajectory of your life. For me, that was having a multi-million-dollar business. Like, this one will change my life, and it's worth pursuing. And it's been 5 years pursuing that same goal. And honestly, it's really changed my life. So pick on one thing and keep doing. I built in phases. I couldn't afford everything. So I was like, okay, education 1 year. The next year, setup, websites, everything, and all that, another year. Someone else would have given up. Then the next year, okay, marketing. Slowly, compound effect really works, and you build something sustainable that has a very good basis.
Amazing. What is success to you?
Happiness, authenticity, abundance, and freedom. That is very important to me.
Happiness is interesting.
Absolutely. Because happiness is you being you, and happiness is us sitting and doing something we love. Happiness is having a team supporting us to do things that we've always dreamt about. Seeing life the way you thought it would be. That is pure bliss for me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So this is the Road to Success podcast, obviously, and you are one of our previous speakers. I'd just like you to reminisce about that experience, what you thought before going in, and then on D-Day, what you saw, and just pretty much why people should be at such an event.
Oh my God, can I scream on the microphone? Oh my goodness. Road to Success for me was absolutely game changer now that I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
I met a lot, for me, it did the work for me. I met a lot of women from all over the world who are still my friends and clients to date from Road to Success.
It's amazing.
Absolutely. I think I can count them off my head and all that. Mayowa, just what you did there was amazing because we had a collection of different people and the energy. We all left there like, oh my God, when is the next one? Where's the next one?
Well, the next one's coming up.
They were like, oh my God, we have to wait an year for the next. It was just the joy of being there and seeing a collection of all things that we thought would be possible for us, interacting on all levels. That was just amazing for me. I love being in the room.
Have you seen any African gathering bigger than that in Dubai?
Not at all. And I haven't been to any, actually. I will never be to any if it's not for your Road to Success. Also because I really did appreciate the safe space you created for us. There was no competition. It was more collaboration kind of vibe. I did appreciate that a lot, because in some spaces, you don't really want to even say what you do. But there was a nurturing atmosphere. There was good vibes, Every single person was eager to learn. I love it.
I love when you use the word good vibes. I mean, we call ourselves an informal learning platform. And people say, is it a networking event? And I say, no. It's not a networking event. Networking does happen naturally in the room, but it's more learning.
Absolutely.
And when someone puts learning and good vibes in the same sentence, ooh.
That's Road to Success.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it'd be good to have you at the next one. See you come around, come and get those fresh clients.
Of course.
And I begin to think, listen, if I'm your client, oh my God, you're going to have a hard time with me. Because I have my hands in many pots. And I sense you want to say, Maya, focus on this one.
And I don't really have a single purpose. It can be distributed.
How am I doing so far?
Very well. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Especially being that we have seen each other grow. I'm proud of what you've built.
You know what? This is what we do. Cheers. I know it's water, but listen, cheers to your success.
Cheers to you, sis. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Meg. It's so good to have you here to share your story, share your success principles, and get into your mind how you think. What I hope to see, even in Dubai and across the world, is to see women like you replicated. I want to see Meg Juma in every woman, every young girl. And I think my biggest takeaway is you don't have to get to B before you get to F, right? You can literally skip steps if you know what to do, how to do it. I mean, it doesn't take away the fact that there will be a process. There will be a process.
Strategy.
But if you understand the strategies and the principles, it makes your journey faster. And plus, focus.
With the capital F.
Thank you so much, Meg. Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this conversation with Meg Juma. You know what to do, right? Engage. Like, share, subscribe, comment, tag a friend, spread the word, and you just might be seated here with me sometime really soon. See you guys in the next video.